Socrates was executed for asking questions. Galileo was imprisoned for telling the truth. Tesla died, broke and alone, while the entire world ran on his inventions. And here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. None of them was punished for being wrong. They were punished for being right in a world that was not ready to hear it. Now think about your own life for a second. Not on that scale, but the same pattern. The moment you said something, everyone went quiet. The friendship that slowly disappeared after you stopped pretending. The conversation where you could see exactly what was happening and watched everyone else choose not to. You probably told yourself it was a coincidence, a misunderstanding, bad timing. But what if it was not? What if the rejection you have felt, the isolation, the exhaustion of being around people who make you feel like you're speaking a language they refuse to learn? What if that isn't a flaw in you? What if it's a response to you? Arthur Schopenhauer spent his entire life studying this exact dynamic, and what he found is darker than most people are willing to accept. He did not say intelligent people struggle socially because they're awkward. He said society has a built-in mechanism, an automatic, unconscious immune response that activates the moment it detects someone who sees through its illusions. And once that mechanism turns on, it doesn't turn off. The question is not whether this is happening to you. The question is, why does the human brain treat clarity like a threat? The answer will change how you see every relationship you have ever had. To understand why intelligence threatens people, you first need to understand what Schopenhauer believed drives most human behavior. He called it the will, not willpower, not ambition, something far more primitive. The will is the blind, unconscious force that runs underneath everything you do. The need to survive, to belong, to feel comfortable, to be validated. Schopenhauer argued that the vast majority of people spend their entire lives completely in its grip. They don't choose their beliefs, they absorb them. They don't question their values, they inherit them. They don't examine their lives, they just live them on autopilot, chasing comfort and calling it meaning. And here's the critical part. The will does not just drive individual behavior, it drives social behavior. It makes people form groups, establish consensus, and then, without realizing it, protect that consensus from anything that threatens it. Now, enter the deep thinker, the person who actually pauses and asks, wait, is any of this real? Is any of this true? That single act, the act of genuine questioning, puts you in direct conflict with the social organism. Not because you said anything wrong, but because you stop performing the unspoken agreement that everyone else is maintaining. And the group, on a completely unconscious level, registers that as a threat. When you think deeply, when you question publicly, when you exist in a room without pretending, you become a mirror. And nobody wants to look in a mirror that shows them something they've been working hard to avoid. Your presence forces an involuntary self-comparison. The people around you don't decide to feel inferior. They just do, automatically, instantly, beneath conscious thought. And that comparison activates something uncomfortable. A landmark study published in Science in 2003 by researchers Eisenberger, Lieberman, and Williams at UCLA showed something extraordinary. Social rejection activates the same region of the brain as physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex, the part that processes the feeling of a broken bone, lights up when someone feels socially excluded. The brain cannot distinguish between being punched and being ostracized. What does that mean for you? It means when you make someone feel intellectually inferior, even without saying a word, they experience it as pain, and people in pain don't thank the source of that pain. They move away from it, or they attack it. Research published in Frontiers in Psychology in 2022 confirmed the next part of this chain. Envy, specifically what researchers call malicious envy, is one of the primary drivers of social rejection. When someone perceives another person's advantage as undeserved, they don't try to match it. They try to eliminate it, not by growing themselves, by pulling the other person down. And intelligence feels deeply undeserved to people who have never cultivated it. Because you did not buy it, You did not earn it in a way they can track or replicate. You just see things they don't, and that feels like an injustice. So they reject you, not out of malice, out of pain. Socrates, ancient Athens. The man who spent his life doing nothing more than asking people to examine what they believed, to question whether what they called knowledge was actually knowledge. The Athenian democracy did not reward him for this. They tried him, found him guilty, killed him, not because he was wrong, because he made them feel wrong. Galileo pointed a telescope at the sky and showed what was actually there. The church placed him under house arrest for the last 9 years of his life. The evidence was real. The math was correct. It did not matter. He had threatened the consensus reality that an entire civilization had built its identity around. Nikola Tesla, a man so far ahead of his time that the world he imagined is the world we now live in. AC electricity, wireless transmission, radio. He died alone, broke, and largely uncredited. Not because his ideas failed, because they succeeded before society was ready to acknowledge him. Schopenhauer himself lived this pattern in real time. He published The World as Will and Representation in 1818. It was ignored for decades. He once scheduled his university lectures at the exact same time as Hegel, the most celebrated philosopher of the era, hoping to compete. Almost nobody showed up. He sat in an empty room, surrounded by a world that wasn't ready for him. And in the preface to the second edition, years later, he wrote, "Not to my contemporaries, not to my compatriots. To mankind I commit my now completed work." He wasn't writing for the people in the room. He was writing for the people who hadn't been born yet. Do you see the pattern? Society doesn't fear intelligence because it's wrong. It fears intelligence because it's right. Too early. Society is not broken. It's functioning exactly as designed. Think about what social groups actually reward. Agreeableness, flattery, emotional predictability, the performance of humility, the willingness to make other people feel smart in conversations where they are not. Schopenhauer observed this directly. He wrote that less intelligent people are more socially successful, not despite their limitations, but because of them. They are more willing to perform the scripts that generate approval. They flatter, they defer, they make everyone around them feel comfortable and unchallenged. The intelligent person, by contrast, is constitutionally less able to do this, not out of arrogance, out of honesty. They cannot pretend a bad idea is good. They cannot nod along when something doesn't make sense. They cannot perform submission to mediocrity and feel nothing. And so, the social machine, the group, the institution, the algorithm, sorts them out. This is even more extreme now. Social media doesn't reward nuance. It rewards certainty. It rewards simplicity. It rewards outrage and easy validation. The feed is literally engineered to surface whatever triggers the most immediate emotional response. And complexity by design doesn't trigger fast enough. The deep thinker doesn't just struggle in a room full of people. They struggle in a civilization optimized for the comfortable and the certain. Section 5, the cost of seeing clearly. Schopenhauer didn't romanticize this. He called it what it was. He quoted Aristotle directly. Men distinguished in philosophy, politics, poetry, or art appear to be all of a melancholy temperament. Not because sadness is the badge of intelligence, but because when you see reality without the comfortable filters most people keep in place, when you remove the illusions that make ordinary life feel meaningful, you are left with something heavier. You see the suffering underneath things. You see the contradictions people live with and never examine. You see the machinery of social performance for what it is. And that clarity, that gift, is also a weight. Yes, the people who feel most at home in this world are often the ones asking the fewest hard questions. Not because they are stupid, but because the questions you're asking don't make comfort easier. They make it harder. And if you felt that, if you felt like the more you understand, the less you belong, you are not broken. You are not defective. You are simply paying the price that clear eyes have always cost. Schopenhauer was not prescribing despair. He was prescribing a strategy. First, stop performing for the wrong audience. The intelligent person's greatest mistake is spending their energy trying to convince people who are not ready to hear them. Schopenhauer was explicit. He wrote his greatest work for posterity. He accepted that his real audience hadn't arrived yet. And that reorientation, from now to the long game, changes everything. Second, treat solitude as a resource, not a punishment. Schopenhauer wrote in The Wisdom of Life that for the person of genuine intellectual depth, solitude is not loneliness. It is the highest good. The capacity to be alone with your own mind, without needing the noise of social approval to feel real, is the mark of inner richness. Most people cannot do it. That you can is not a defect. It is a capability. Third, find your actual community, not the room you're in, not the group you grew up around, the people who speak the language you think in. They exist. They have always existed. In books, in ideas, in the small circles where real conversations still happen. Schopenhauer himself found more community in Plato, Kant, and the Upanishads than in any Berlin lecture hall. Your people may not be near you geographically, but they are real. Fourth, and this is the most important one, stop mistaking rejection for failure. When a society rejects a mind, it is not a verdict on that mind. It is a verdict on what that society can tolerate. Socrates was not wrong, Galileo was not wrong, Tesla was not wrong. They were simply ahead of what the room could hold. You may be too. Schopenhauer said something that has sat with me since the first time I read it. He said the genius lights on his age like a comet, on a trajectory so different from the well-regulated paths of ordinary planets that it looks strange, unpredictable, even dangerous to those watching from the ground. Comets don't adjust their orbit to make planets more comfortable. They move. And eventually, people stop fearing them and start trying to understand them. You don't need everyone to understand you. You need to stop apologizing for how far you can see. If this felt like something you've been waiting to hear, share it with someone who needed it too. And if you think this way, if you've ever felt like the clearest person in the room and the loneliest person at the same time, you belong here. Cyphus is built for exactly that kind of mind. We don't do motivation. We don't do feel-good platitudes. We do the uncomfortable, necessary, real work of understanding why human beings think, behave, and suffer the way they do. Through philosophy, psychology, and the thinkers who were brave enough to tell the truth about it. If that's what you're looking for, subscribe. Not because we asked you to, but because you already know most channels aren't built for how you think. This one is. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and come back. Because the next video goes even deeper.